calling the Cedar Creek Township Board meeting to order on Tuesday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. This is at the Cedar Creek Township Hall. The meeting will be posted on our website, forgot where it was going to be, within the next several days. Let's see. Mr. Anderson, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to amend the agenda if I could. We have two additions tonight. Officer Lindahl is here, and rather than make him wait, we would ask that we move him to the beginning of the agenda, right after we approve the agenda. And we also have Nancy Beeman has brought something that she would like us to look at, so we will put that in correspondence. So I would like, I forgot the roll call, but we'll do that after the approval of the agenda. So if I could have a motion to add those two items.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, we won't fight over it. It's Valentine's Day.
Yep.
All right, any discussion? Okay, roll call, or voice vote, I guess.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis.
Yes.
Supervisor Ertz,
Yes,
Trustee Beeman,
Here and yes.
Clerk Stanley here, and yes.
okay, motion carries. The agenda is approved with the amendments. And roll call, we just went through it, so we know we're all here.
Okay, we're good.
Officer Lindahl, please. And Andy's got the podium all set up for you right there, so.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I am here to give just as it was written by Captain Brown, an annual report, but being that I've only been in the schools since halfway in November, I don't have the full extent of an annual report, but I do have some stuff to kind of let you guys know what's been going on in the school. So just to kind of go off the actual reports that I've had to write in terms of law enforcement reports, I've had to take a total of 14. However, 3 of those 14 have been taken within Blue Lake Township, so while I'm actually on the road. So to kind of let you know what kind of reports have been taken, I've taken 2 non-aggravated assault reports, 4 suspicious situations, 1 criminal sexual conduct, 1 private property traffic crash, 1 public peace or other report, 1 general assistance, 2 civil family disputes, 1 minor in possession, and 1 intimidation threats reports. So all those different reports, that's just how they're classified for law enforcement. But to kind of explain further about some of those reports, I've had to ask the FBI to come in on one of these investigations. I'm sure some of you have already heard with Grant High School how they had human trafficking going on there. And that was the reason I asked the FBI to come in, because there was an investigation that didn't quite meet the criteria for human trafficking, but there was, for the large majority of it, every piece but like 2 pieces to actually call it human trafficking. So even though Holton Schools is a very small community, there's still a lot going on in that school. So in terms of my interaction with the students, I kind of keep track of how, almost like a mentoringship almost for the kids, but in kind of like a behavioral correction that doesn't meet the criteria to pull a law enforcement report about it. I just call them student contacts. So since November, I broke it down each month. So in November, I had 5 contacts with students. December was 9. January was only 3 contacts. And as of February, as of yesterday, I haven't had any of those kind of contacts with the students. So it's going to be going up and down as the breaks get closer, the winter break, spring break, summer break. I'm sure it'll be changing as the seasons change as well. So, and then as I mentioned too, I've taken 3 reports in Blue Lake Township. So when the kids don't have school and it's Monday through Friday, then I'll be out patrolling in the community. So there hasn't been too many of those breaks yet, so I haven't taken too many calls within the community, but on those days, I've made 4 traffic stops, wrote 3 tickets, and 2 property checks. So as the year goes on, during the summer, you can expect those to be drastically improved. Things coming up to include trainings and things I've already done. So I've already attended the school safety committee meeting, Ride with Pride. Holden Schools, they've asked me to be a part of their behavioral threat assessment team. So I've already gone to the one that's sponsored by the Michigan State Police. And then I think it was 2 weeks ago, the Muskegon ISD, they hosted their own, so I was a part of that one as well. So they've asked me to be a part of that team to try and help formulate their own process for Holden Schools. That if there is any kind of a threat, that I'm included in that to kind of go through and make sure that Oxford doesn't happen. So those I've already attended. Upcoming in March, I'm going to be sent to the forensic interview school to improve the interview tactics as well as being able to legally talk with kids. In May, being sent to, it's abbreviated for TEAM, but it stands for Teaching, Educating, and Mentoring. That'll be at the middle of May. And then in June, I'll be going to the National Association of School Resource Officers, basically the SRO school. Captain Brown, he also told me that there are a total of 3 different SRO schools. So the first one I'm being sent to is in June, and then each year after that. So that's all I've got for upcoming events. And then just positive things to share. Holton Public Schools, they submitted an application for the School Resource Officer Grant Program. That was Holton Public Schools, they were selected and awarded the grant for the funding for the SRO position out of thousands of different schools that applied for it. So they were lucky enough to be awarded that grant. And then just the last little piece of positive things to share is I finally got the new school uniform. So comfy pants and breathable shirt. So I've got one in black and then one in red as well for the Holden school colors. So that's about it for up to date.
Board members, any questions?
You mentioned you have student contacts, and what does that involve? Is that disciplinary or?
So I'm still trying to work with the kids to understand that if they have issues with their peers, that not like poking them in the back or something like that, talk to their teachers first and then go up to the principal, up to the dean of students, and then if their issue still isn't resolved at that point, then I kind of talk to them before the criminal aspect of it applies, where I might issue them a ticket or something like that or write a report. So just kind of talking to them to say, do you understand what you're doing is incorrect, that the school has a rule about this, or if you were to do this outside of school, that police might get involved. So it's just kind of like a, hey, what you are doing, you need to try and change it so that way it's accepted and that you basically can learn from it. So it's just kind of the sit down, understand what you're doing, and try and give alternatives to correct that behavior.
You get pretty good results most of the time?
Hit or miss. Hit or miss. So.
Are you surprised by any of the things that you're seeing?
Not too surprised. I think the largest thing that contributes to not being surprised is social media and access to access to technology. The kids, the phones, that's where they get in the most trouble, and it just carries over into school. If they post something to a friend and then their other friend hears about it, and that just stirs the pot of drama, and it just kind of boils over. So it's not too surprising to me, being that I'm not too old yet, so I'm still kind of familiar. Being out of school not too long ago, so I'm kind of familiar with how the pot stirs. So, but
I would also like to address, because this will be shown on our website, and people will be able to see it widely.
Yep.
When I had a student intern, and the first thing that this is when I was working at Harbor Hospice, the first thing she said to me, she was obviously in college. The first thing I do when I get into my classroom is I look around me and I look for the exits. And I remember being literally blown away by that, because to me that was a foreign concept. When I was teaching back in the day, that wasn't something we did.
Right.
You know, it was long enough ago that it wasn't something we were concerned about. It is now. And now here it is, it's at home in Michigan. And the fact that you're here in Holton Public Schools, watching over our children, gives us peace. Can you address this in any way? I mean, I'm not asking, I mean, you can only do so much.
Right. Yep.
But do you have any sense of what's happening now and the difference having a school resource officer makes, as opposed to not having a school resource officer?
As far as what I've kind of picked up on is, you can always kind of look in the classroom and see the kids that kind of congregate together, that associate together outside of class, or the stereotypical jocks or something like that, or the gossip queens or something like that. And you can always kind of look in the classroom and see those kids that just don't quite fit in there. And I've really kind of made it a goal for myself to identify who those kids are and kind of make it like a pedestal for them to try and like talk with them and just become their friends, essentially, just to try and ask how their day is going, even if it's just for a quick 5-second chat. Hey, what kind of schoolwork you got going on, or something like that. Just to kind of give them the spotlight, where if they're sitting in the class and the teacher assigns them a group project and no one's picking them to be in their group, I kind of make it a goal to go in there and say, hey, I'll be your partner, just to kind of give them that extra little spotlight to say you're noticed, essentially. So,
Wow.
so I've had a couple kids already just kind of come up and say, man, where were you? I was missing you at lunch. I wanted to talk with you again. So I've already had that kind of positive interaction with a large majority of the students.
So they're aware of you, they know you're there.
Yes.
There's a safety net.
Yes.
So, members, residents here, do you have any questions?
I got one comment. Thank you for your service to our community.
Absolutely. I enjoyed doing
It's
it.
great having you on board.
Thank you.
I feel the same way. I especially in light of what's happened here in Michigan right now, I feel, I guess, blessed right now. This, you know, this is money well spent, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
So I can't thank you enough for caring for our children, caring for our community.
Absolutely.
So,
Gives a lot of peace of mind
yeah,
to parents and other community members too, but.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you as well.
Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
Okay, now we move on to our minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Moving right along here.
Well, we gotta catch up. Let's get it going.
Okay, and we can do those both together. So we have, Bob has made a motion,
For January 10th and January 24th.
24th.
I second.
All right. Any edits or anything else that needs to be discussed with respect to those minutes? All right, hearing none, your voice vote is fine on those.
Can we do a unanimous vote, or
Yeah,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
all right. Let's see, next on the agenda is our treasurer's report.
Our January 1st, 2023 beginning general fund balance was $1,260,329.87. Our revenues totaled $68,503.78. Expenditures totaled $106,763.49, leaving an ending balance of $1,222,070.16. And the fire contracts were paid in January, so that accounted for a large chunk of those expenditures.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Heather?
I have none.
Okay, then we will place Heather's report on file. Thank you very much, Heather, appreciate that. Disbursements, other than the normal bills, do you have anything that needs to be paid?
Nothing out of the ordinary right now.
Well, that's a...
It's ordinary bills.
All right, may I have a motion to pay the regular monthly bills then, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All right, anyone have any questions or concerns? All right, well, we're spending money, so I need a roll call vote.
Okay. Bob,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes,
Brian,
Yes.
Dave, yes.
motion carries, thank you. Okay, public comments, agenda items only. Public comments, agenda items only. Okay, third time. Okay.
Did you want Nancy's letter under correspondence?
For correspondence?
Yeah,
Okay, because you
Yeah.
skipped. So we'll go backwards.
oh, what did I
You skipped
do?
over correspondence.
You do it, oh, I did it, I do it every time, yeah, every single time, thank you.
Correspondence.
Yeah, I did, okay, all right, correspondence. Thank you. The Nancy Beeman has brought a request to us. Yeah, I should have written it on my agenda, I apologize. The Beemans are requesting you want a check for $250, is that correct?
Yeah.
For the replacement of artificial flowers. And for those of you who don't know, the Beemans for years have been putting artificial flowers on the graves at Horton Cemetery. And it's my understanding the reason you want to purchase them now is because the flowers are on sale, is that correct? Okay. If I could have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a support. Any discussion on this? Then we have a motion and support. If we could just have a voice vote on that. Just, we're spending money, but it's not a big amount, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion
Motion
carries. Okay, we will then, Clerk Stamey, if you would just get a check to them.
Will do.
And do we have your, I don't know that we have an address.
I'm sure we could find it.
Sure.
Yeah, but, yeah, I'm sure we know where it is,
We know where you
but,
live.
yeah, we do know where you live, but I don't know if we need any other information to put that check out, so,
No.
I could
Okay.
run it over there for you guys too,
oh, okay, all right, thank you for doing that, Bob.
and I can visit.
Okay, we've been through public comments. There weren't any on this particular case on the agenda items. Unfinished business, we have none this particular. Oh, you didn't voice that one, you had
No.
3 goings.
We had no issue ever since then.
Okay, all right,
As far as the flowers, we probably ought to coordinate when you put those out. So when I do the cleanup and blowing leaves, I don't blow the flowers away.
You'd be in big trouble, I'd be right there.
We're gonna be there all summer though, I hope you don't blow away later.
But it's usually that one heavy time in the
his,
spring.
his first blowing. Okay, all right, all right, you're forgiven for not making that public comment. All right, new business, the new wastewater resolution, and board members, you have in your packet, an updated resolution. So, Brian, if you have, look at that one. So, most of the residents of Cedar Creek Township have septic systems. Timberline Estates, within the jurisdiction of Cedar Creek Township, however, operates under the county's wastewater system. This means that Cedar Creek Township is being invoiced by the county for sewer services. We in turn must invoice Timberline Estate residents for their sewer usage, which is billed through the county and Muskegon Charter Township, the sewer line through which Timberline's usage runs. There used to be a formula under which this was all prepared. However, the county has entered into a memorandum of understanding that set new regulated monthly amounts based upon a 2-year average for each township. They took the best of a 3-year average and prepared projected expenses for each municipality. Cedar Creek Township Cedar Creek Township's amount is $3,200 per month. This required a new resolution, which everyone has before them. The original resolution you had in your packet did not contain the Cedar Creek Township's explanation of remittance. This is included in the new one. This resolution rescinds the original resolution. There are too many R's, too many rescinds in here, and this is actually hard for me to explain. May I please have a motion to approve the new resolution so that we may invoice and pay for the sewer services? Too many S's, too many R's.
I'll make that motion. I just want to clarify that we don't invoice individual residents within the
Yeah.
park. It's the park itself that we
Yeah.
invoice.
I'll support it.
Any discussion or issues that you'd like further explanation? I do attend the monthly wastewater meetings, so I've been part of the signing of this MOU, the memorandum of understanding. We had to vote, every municipality had to vote on this. Okay, because of this, I think we need a roll call vote.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Yes.
Supervisor Ertz,
Yes,
Trustee Beaman,
Yes.
Clerk Stady, yes.
motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now before us we have, it's the time of year when we need to update our salary resolution. Board members have had individual discussions concerning this matter. This year's Medicare cost of living adjustment is 8.7, which is what we have been following during past years. However, after thoughtful consideration, I believe that we have settled on a 5% cost of living adjustment. We will need a motion for each of the elected officials.
I'd like a discussion.
Okay, I think we have to make,
Motion and support.
yeah,
Then we'll
we
have-
have, yeah,
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
okay. All right, now we can discuss.
I pulled some data from official websites, US government, one of them is from the Department of Labor looking at. I've got a big thick one here that goes to all townships and counties in the state of Michigan. Looking it over, percentages range from 9.7 to 16.5. The veterans, Social Security and everybody else, I've got all of the stuff from cost of living was 8.7 this year. If we take a look at, and we break the wages down to the hourly rate, what's required to work, it's a $1.91 raise at 8.7%. The township people here work very hard, and they don't just spend the 24 hours minimum required to be here. With the cost of living, especially in my whole life, every time that I've gotten less of a raise in the cost of living, I felt I'm going nowhere. If the Social Security Administration says it, and the Department of Labor says 8.7%, that is what I would like to push for the raises this year. That is what I would prefer. I believe it's more adequate, it keeps people up with the cost of living, and it wasn't just a willy-nilly how they figure these things out. They put it on, and inflation is astronomical. I don't truly believe 8.7 if you look at it, because the cost of anything that we are purchasing has doubled. I don't see a 50% raise anywhere, so we had some pre-discussions on this. After further thought, my opinion is I'd like to push for the 8.7 and follow the COLA loss of living adjustments for the next few years. And if we can set a standard to that, prime example, 2015 it was 0. You got nothing that year. 2016, 0.3, 17, 2.0, 18, 2.8, 19, 1.6, 21, 0.3, 21 was 5.9, and this year was 8.7. I would like to recommend that we follow the cost of living allowance, and make it simplistic for each year.
Okay. Further discussion? Thank you, Brian. I for one want to say thank you for the support. I sincerely appreciate that. I believe, I've had a discussion with Brian, I fully believe, and I want to state this publicly, that if we intend to ever have younger people want to run for office, the only way we can do that is to have a living wage. And, or there's no enticement in doing that. There just isn't. The only way you'll ever have anyone who runs for office will be a retired individual or someone who perhaps doesn't need the job, which is fine, but there should also be younger people running for office. And they have to, in order to do that, they need to make a living wage. So,
and our budget's strong right now, the township's doing good, and if we went back and looked through the years, you would probably see that the resources follow what the cost of living is. It affects everything and everybody and everything that moves within it. And if we were to do this, I would just look forward for the future that when the cost of living allowance comes out for Social Security and for even the veterans, that we just say that's what it is. They've put thousands of hours of resource into determining this. So.
Myself, I like the 5% because when I first came here in 17, this board made $17,000. Well, in the course of 6-7 years, we've over about 10,000 we've given. I was looking at it, I like the 5% because, we're gonna have an election down the road and you get elected to office, you can come in here one day a week, being a supervisor, and that's the way it used to be. And I think they used to keep his wages down because he wasn't here much. I'm not gonna mention any names, but you know.
Mhm.
And, you know, with that election, we don't know who's gonna get elected. And you don't know how many hours they're gonna put in, cause they can work the hours they want once they're elected.
They still have to get their work done though.
Huh?
They have to get their work done, whether they're here 3 days a week
Well,
or
there's
2
some
days
that
a week or
don't.
4 days a week. They still have
Right.
to get their work done. That's
Well,
required.
Dave does all the work, and you, no. And you do a lot more than any supervisor I've ever seen for 30 years in here, so, you know, but I'm just saying, but that's just where I am, you know.
Well, I've been here just a short time, and I don't think anybody here is overpaid.
No,
I've seen
I
the work they
agree.
do and what it is compared to what the real world is, people get paid out there. If you're gonna attract good people, you gotta pay them good. I see nothing wrong with 8.7%. The only problem I have is it looks a little self-serving with us voting on our own pay increase. But
It's unfortunate, but that's the only way we're allowed to do it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
it is truly unfortunate. That's the only way we are allowed to do it.
Well, it wasn't a number we just pulled out of the air. We did some investigation look, and I agree, Bobby, there's been some good increases. If you look at it since 2015, it's been 22.6, so if you average that out, it's probably $7,000 for the wages increases for what they've gotten. So I would guess in the past they've been following this closely.
Well, all right, Heather, do you have a comment you want to make?
It's very awkward to, like you say, to talk about your pay.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the activity and there's a lot more going on in this township than there was when I first came on. You have to put time in, and I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, we need to make a decision, because it has to go
It has to be done 30 days before.
30 days
the
before the,
budget hearing or the budget is adopted.
so what, okay, bottom line, the budget is going to be adopted next month.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I'm looking to you here for
So
advice
you
on
could,
this.
we could pass these resolutions tonight. We could, because we're still working on the budget, if we look at things and we say, you know what, 8.7 is too much, or 5, or whatever, we don't like how this looks, we can amend these resolutions at the March meeting before our new fiscal year.
I think we should get it done tonight. We always push the cane down the road and then we seem like we.
Well, we have to pass
We
resolutions
have to
tonight.
do a
I'm just saying,
resolution.
You
you
know,
can't
with what
amend
Brian
them if you
read
don't
there
like the
too,
number.
you know, I didn't have them numbers, but it sounded like not a lot going on for a long time, so, you know, but I would go with what the board wants to go with, you know. What do you wanna go with, Heather?
Well, if it's costing 8.7% more for us to live, then that makes sense to increase the wage 8.7%.
Okay.
I couldn't do this job if I didn't have a husband who worked full-time, who has good insurance and
Right.
benefits. I couldn't do this job.
Yeah.
So you're only ever gonna get people like me, or people who are retired and who,
Which
you
is
know,
what
this is-
yeah, it's exactly
is-
what I said.
you-
Yeah. If you didn't have a spouse,
Yeah, I would have
if
to
I
find a
weren't
different job.
retired.
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, it's terrible to go into the next year and make less than what inflation was, regardless of where you're working or what your situation, it's terrible. And following the Social Security Administration's guidelines, I think it's a very safe move.
In 1985, I made $40,000 in 1985.
Right.
So.
A few more years, you'll get there.
Yeah. I might not live that long.
Me either.
That was good, sorry.
And again, it's what the board feels. I mean,
Yeah.
I brought the data, I still feel strongly about it, but I'm not opposed to less, but I would really prefer the 8.7.
Okay, we would need an amendment to your resolution then. To your resolution, which is the amount, so you're gonna have to refigure the,
I made a
Oh,
chart of
yeah.
all the different ones we were talking about.
yeah,
so.
okay,
I gotta get them filled in here.
so. Okay. So, okay, I guess, so with this discussion, then, is everyone in agreement that we adjust the cost of living to 8.7?
Yes.
Are you all comfortable with that?
Yeah.
All right, then may I please have a motion, we'll start with, goes right down the line here. May I please have a motion for the position of supervisor for a COLA increase of 8.7%, bringing the salary to $30,168.60.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Any discussion? All right, we need a roll call vote on each one of these.
it. Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Yes.
Supervisor Ernst,
Do you abstain on these? I can't remember.
You vote on them. We always
Oh,
voted on
we
them.
vote on them? Yes.
Clerk Stamey, yes. Trustee Beeman,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Okay, may I please have a motion for the position of clerk for a cost of living increase of 8.7%, bringing the salary to $30,168.60.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Okay, roll call vote on that, please.
Trustee Beeman,
Yes.
Clerk Stamey, yes. Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Yes.
Supervisor Ernst.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. May I please have a motion for the position of treasurer
I'll
for
make that.
a cost of living increase of 8.7, bringing the salary to $30,168.60.
I make that motion.
Support.
I haven't been asking if there's any, but, you know. Roll call, please.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Yes.
Supervisor Ernst,
Yes.
Clerk Stamey, yes. Trustee Beeman,
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, may I please have a motion for the position of trustee for a cost of living increase of 8.7%, bringing the salary to $5,986.11.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
Any concerns or on this one? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis.
Yes.
Supervisor Ernst,
Yes.
Trustee Beeman,
Yes.
Clerk Stamey, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda are computer replacements. You have in your packet, or in your memo, I believe, on this one, with the supervisor's computer can no longer hold connection to the internet. This is the oldest computer in the office. Some days it's good, other days it just automatically shuts down and has to be restarted every 5 minutes. During emergencies, we have authorization to order a computer, which we've already done. We've talked to Lynn about this. The charge for that computer is $1,890.90. He's in the works of figuring that computer out. So also, the deputy clerk needs a desktop
computer to better operate the systems necessary for that position, especially during election duties. Also limping along is the deputy treasurer's computer. The computer that she is currently using was also the treasurer's old computer. It does need to be replaced. We have in the budget currently $5,000 left in for replacement of computers. What we're asking you to do is allow for the replacement of the supervisor's computer and the deputy's treasurer's out of the 2020 deputy clerk, sorry, out of the 22 budget, and then approve for the 23 fiscal year the deputy treasurer's computer. So we're seeking authorization for approval of all 3 computers at this time, knowing that the third one will be purchased out of the 23 budget. May I have a motion for authorizing all 3 purchases?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Any discussion on this? Okay, we're spending money, so may have a roll call vote on this.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Yes.
Supervisor Ertz,
Yes.
Trustee Beeman,
Yes.
Clerk Stamy, yes.
Motion carries. Okay, senior millage, municipal grant. You have in your packet as well, board members, a copy of the equipment that we're looking at for outdoor senior recreational equipment. This is what we're considering for our township community park. We are investing a considerable amount for our youth through the playground equipment. And in the process of looking at this, we thought it was also wise to look at caring for our senior citizens. So we contacted Jeremy Bozeman is how he says it, to see what he could do for us in the way of finding equipment that would be suitable for seniors 60 and over. And we know that just at the transfer station, I've seen so many people who have had hip, knee replacements, shoulder replacements. We know that as people age, they need to work on keeping agile. Just mobility is an issue, so we really wanted to do what we could to encourage that physical agility. So those were some of the things that we looked at. And we also know that there are a lot of seniors that come to the playground when they're playing softball out there. And so we thought this would be a great way to enhance the community park and make it more accessible for people of all ages. So what we're looking at is purchasing, using about $8,000 of the funds through senior millage for that recreational equipment, and the rest through ARPA funds. And as we look at that project, I was talking to Heather earlier today, and you have those 3 pieces, and I thought, we didn't even factor in what are they gonna sit on, so we really need to consider putting a bench there, or perhaps a swing as well. So we would need to add some funds in for that. That entire project came to about just short of $21,000. And I literally took that. I had a meeting at Senior Resources the other day, and I took that to the executive director, and she thought it was a great idea that we were thinking about doing something like this for our senior citizens. So in addition to doing this particular project, the $8,000 would be portioned out of that for our senior millage part. I would also consider doing about $1,000 for the apple drive that we did. Seniors seem to love that, the fresh picked apples. that we did in October. And it was a lot of work for Martha because she really went back and forth and collected the apples. But, and we loaded them in bags here, but I know that the seniors loved them. And I would also like to I think I would like to allot $1,000 for the apples this year. Don't you agree, Martha, that would be about the right amount?
Yeah, you'll need about 16 bushels.
Okay, thank you. And then I think about, we did $5,000 in groceries for our bags last year, and I think I'd like to stick with that amount. Do you think that's about the right amount, or maybe a little more?
Are we doing 2 bags of groceries
One,
this year?
only one.
So it would only be 2,500 then,
No,
for the,
one bag. We did 5,000 for one bag.
are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It won't be any cheaper next year.
Was it that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, each.
Yeah,
each-
that's true, the groceries aren't getting any
Yeah,
cheaper.
each load of bags was 5,000. I did,
Okay, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah, because we had Jack's and another 1,000 from Sam's Club.
yeah, 5,000.
Yeah.
So, so what I need from the board is authorization to write the grant. And this year we have just slightly over $14,000 in our senior millage. So, I need authorization to proceed with that grant, knowing that we'd be looking at portion going to the outdoor exercise equipment, apples, and the bags.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support.
Okay, any discussion? With that said, we're also going to do some things like bring in, Martha suggested doing a game night here, and, which I think is a great idea. The fire chief is going to do there's some free things that we can do as well. Bringing having Dave Glotzba come in from Muskegon Charter Township, and we're going to do what happens when you fall in the shower and your worst fears. My God, I'm naked and I've fallen in the shower. That's every woman's worst fear. And we're just gonna talk about it. And, let's just get down and dirty about it, and everybody just, everybody hates the thought. And Dave says to me, once they've seen you naked, they don't ever think about it again. And you're there agonizing over it, and they never think about it again. So Dave and I have worked out something that we want to do, and we're going to bring that to the people of the township, and we think it would be a great thing to do. And we can talk about lots of things besides being naked. So, anyway, so I will go ahead and write the grant then, and we will proceed with that. Okay. Did I finish that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thanks. Next up is the special committee to evaluate the practicality of a new township hall. Dave has provided the board members with a sheet of paper which provides some of the rationale for considering a new building. The township hall serves as a heating and cooling station should citizens lose power when the Red Cross declares a state of emergency. When I started to write a grant for a new shower to add on the men's bathroom last year, we discovered that it would be too costly and entirely impractical given the age and state of this building. I had lengthy conversations with our building inspector, and he said, don't sink another dime into this building. Then Dave came in as the clerk, and he sat down with me and he said, we are sandwiched in back there. I'd like to talk about how do we remodel the building. And I said, hold the fort. I'd like you to have a conversation with Jeff, our building inspector. So he took the next step. He sat down with Jeff, and then I'm gonna let Dave take it from here, because he's developed a resolution on what we need to do now. He kind of took the bull by the horns, because we're kind of dragging our feet. You know, we've lived in this building forever, but we are sandwiched in here. You can't have a meeting. You can't have a private meeting. We come out here to have a private meeting because it's the only place you can go. And it's clearly not private. So, and Lord knows you don't want to have your bathroom right there outside your office. I can attest to that. So Dave, if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Jeff, saying, you know, we got people doubled up in offices, and there's no such thing as a private conversation. Sometimes I have to go to my car to make a private phone conversation because I can't hear it. And so, and he said, well, you know, I thought, well, okay, we could just remodel this area here, or maybe add on a bigger conference room, voting area type thing, just a big room. And he said, he told Linda, wouldn't put another dime in this. It's crumbling down below. We've outgrown this building. It's been added on to twice, poor insulation. So I thought, well, it's worth at least taking a look at that. You're not saying we're going to do it, but at least look at it, define our needs, have something drawn up so that we get quotes on it, and see if it makes sense. See if we can afford it. Now, we might not be able to, but I think we owe it to ourselves to at least take a look at it and see what we can do. So.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we're going to build something next week, you know, later this fall or next year. It just means that we're going to look at the possibilities.
Right.
And we're in the budget process right now, so we'll be in the budget process next year. We're going to look at grant options. We'll look at, one of the things, I had a meeting, a Zoom meeting earlier this year or last year, and they talked about USDA financing, things like that. So we're going to explore lots of different options, look at everything that's out there and see what can be done, what can't be done. But you never know what can be done unless you start. So with that said, I think we need a motion on this to form this committee.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, then we just need a voice vote on this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right.
All right, with that said then I would like to ask that both Dave and Brian serve on this volunteer committee. Are you gentlemen okay with that?
Yep.
I accept.
Okay,
All
Thank-
right.
thank you.
Thank you.
And
Do we,
you'll get Jeff to.
Yeah,
sit
I
in
talked to
as well?
Jeff,
Jeff,
and
yeah,
he'd be willing if we got the motion, so.
Okay, that's perfect.
yeah, and I think, we'll look for a couple other people who are interested. Once we get we form this committee and determine where it's going from here, and we'll get started. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Board comments.
I have none.
Just a reminder that winter taxes are due February 28th.
Happy Valentine's, huh?
Yes. With love, okay?
I just agreed to join the Michigan Senior Advocate Council, which is why I was meeting with Pam Curtis yesterday. So I'm very excited about that. Cedar Creek Township does a great deal for their seniors, and I thought this was a voice that I wanted to be a part of. So I'm pleased to be serving on that committee. So,
Good. Nothing for me.
Not at this time.
all right, thank you, board. Now, members of the public. John, oh, I couldn't see you. I couldn't, yeah, Ron's kinda tall, I couldn't see you over his head.
You have to get a shorter head. One thing, Heather, what was your salary going to be now with this increase? I'm sorry,
30,000,
Okay.
168.60.
then I have I know that you're saying it should be what the federal government is saying for retirement people. But the retirement people are only having, most of them only have Social Security. What normal working people do have, where they have a choice to have another job maybe. And I know that the board supposedly, and I know that you guys work more than 24 hours a week, I understand that, but 5% is probably a more balanced amount. Nobody else really in the workforce gets that kind of an increase. I know that, like I said, you guys are making a lot of extra hours in this 24 hours, but I don't really agree with that 8.7. That's one thing, and then the other comment is about the building. Is there a possibility, and I know that you may look into this, what about renting a facility instead of building another one? I don't know if there's anything available in this township, but when that, especially since supposedly, I mean, it's only 24 hours a week or more that it's in here, wouldn't it, be at least looking at that? I'm just asking, I'm just, just a comment on that one. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you
very
for
much.
your comments. Anyone else? Yeah.
I always do. You can get out.
I'll go this way, I think.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board. Actually, I'd like to thank you first, Linda. You have put in so many hours into our township since you've been elected. I don't think people realize how many outside grants you have brought in, money for us. And as far as the increase in your pay, that's always hard for someone to say yes to that. But I, as a member of the community and have been here for so many years, I have never seen a board that has interjected so much into our community, so much positive. And Heather, your increase for your $30,000 a year, we have to remember that she deals with over $1 million budget for us. What we would pay an accountant for that would be, we could not afford that. And all of you may be part-time here, but it's really not part-time. I've seen ways more than 24 hours or whatever you're supposed to work, because this job goes on day and then it goes on at night too. And I just really appreciate you guys. And I'm not the only one in the community, I'm just the one that gets up and runs her mouth. But I really appreciate all that you've done, and I'm very excited about seeing the new state for our township, because this township is growing and we need to grow with the people that we're bringing in. So I thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you very much. Could I have a motion to, can't even say adjourn.
Motion.
Bob.
Let's get her done. Hey, 7 o'clock, look at that. A 1-hour meeting.
Wow, right down to the.